The other day, I was kind of just messing around with spawn mechanics on Bedrock, trying to mimic some kind of similar things that happen in Java Edition. And I came across an interesting feature with how things run, and I couldn't find very much documentation elsewhere, so I thought I would make a quick video on how everything works, because I think it's very interesting. The way this feature works is on Bedrock Edition, unlike in Java, wherever the player is sitting when they tap a bed determines where they respawn. So, for example, if I just go down here, I tap the bed, I go into survival mode, and then I kill myself. You see I spawn on this spot. Then if I go over here and tap it from here, and then do the same, I'll respawn right here. And so it continues to work like even if you're on top of the bed, as long as you set your spawn, you spawn then at the bed. And so this allows for a lot of interesting possibilities that you might not have. Because if you're not familiar with how Java works, it chooses a specific point that you will start to spawn from, and then it will test every point after to see if those are available if each one gets obstructed. On Bedrock, that's not the case at all, because it's just based off of these one single spots wherever the player was standing. And this is likely due to the way that Bedrock has a little bit of a cheaty way of making beds work. Instead of having them actually be a spawn point, they just run something similar to the /spawn point command, and that always sets the player's spawn. If I do it right here, /spawn point at P, I'm just going to set my spawn point to the coordinates that I'm currently standing on. And so this same feature is just applied to the beds, where it runs a similar thing where it sets my spawn point to this spot. And so there's a few things that we can do with this. First off, we need to make sure that it is relog proof. So real quick, I'm going to set my spawn here. This is an unusual distance away. If I go into survival mode, we can see that I die and I respawn right here. Great, so now if I quit and relog, all right, now that we're back in, we can run the same command again and see that we spawn back here. So it is the actual spawn point that we have that matters. It's not some weird bug involved. It's the actual genuine spawn point is set. And so now we can do a few things with this. The first thing to note is that your Y coordinate is not saved. It's just the X and Z. So if we go into survival here, we set our spawn, and then we kill ourselves, we'll spawn here, much the same as we would if we were down. It's just because these two blocks are obstructed. And also, interestingly, you'll note that because the bottom two were obstructed, we just move up. So something interesting that we can do with this is if we take some blocks and we fill in this gap, we go back into survival and kill ourselves, we spawn all the way at the top of the tower. This is very similar to the Squilly glitch on Java that allows for players, if you put a boat or a shulker box on the edge of the bed where that obstructs the respawn point, it pushes the player up all the way to the top of where they would spawn. I'll put a link to that at the top of the video here that you can click on to see and learn more about that. But here on Bedrock Edition, that's much easier to do. You just need the player to set their spawn in this corner, and then you obstruct it, and it immediately goes to the top, even with normal blocks. And so some interesting things we can do with this, if we take these away and we put in, say, like a slab, we would expect the same thing to happen because that's obstructed. Now, it's important that we have this area fully obstructed, because if we leave like one block, it'll just put us down into crawl mode. So if we go /kill, you see we just get put in crawl mode, and then we can be here safely. So it needs to be completely obstructed all the way through. And one way that we can do that is by putting something like slabs here. You would think that that would cause a problem with shifting, but for some reason, with the way that Bedrock interprets shifting and how all that works, it doesn't matter. So even if you're, say, shifting right here to the side and then die, you still get put to the top, and you stay in shifting mode. The locations themselves don't actually matter, so we can go all the way back here and it would still function the same. So if we do something like this, set our spawn point here, go into survival, and we go back here, and then the similar place that block there, do the same thing, and we spawn on top. And again, the similar thing can be shown over here if we're right on top of the bed and we set our spawn point here, and then we go and obstruct it by placing blocks like so, then we'll spawn on top of this structure. One important thing to note is that if you're shifting or crawling while you are in, while you tap on the bed, it does do some weird things. So if I go into survival here, it'll glitch me into this floor area. Even if I am shifting or am not shifting when I die, it just pushes me down because it's trying to spawn me as if I was shifting, and it breaks. And then over here, I just have made a quick proof of concept. This isn't a very good cell at all, but if I go into survival mode here, we can kind of see how things might function. We get pushed into this 1-by-1 area, so there's nowhere we can go. We can click on the bed. Anywhere on the bed will have the same effect because it matters not where the bed is, it matters where the player is. And then we get pushed back out and killed. And we get put in here, this definitely inescapable cell. And every time we die, we just respawn in this exact same cell. Yeah, so a very simple setup, but it does the exact same thing as a Squilly glitch. So kind of niche scenarios, but it could still be very useful. But there is more to this feature, because what happens when you obstruct the spawn point with something like lava, where you actually can't spawn there, and there's no block higher that's safe, very interesting things happen. So here I can demonstrate. If I set my spawn point right here, go into survival so I die, you see I spawn all the way out here, and if I die again, it puts me in a random spot within 16 blocks of wherever my spawn point is. And so over here, you can see that I put my spawn point over here, and all of these wool blocks represent where I got put in about 2.5 minutes of just constantly killing myself and seeing where I spawn. It's based centered off of where the spawn point is, and then 16 blocks in every direction, in a general circle shape. And here we have the red and orange wool, just to show that the respawn radius, which is a game setting that allows us to change when you respawn at world how much variation you might have. I generally have it set to 0 because that allows for consistency, but it doesn't matter because 0 and 10, you can see both just fall in this same little circle area. It is worth noting that this distribution is not perfectly random. There does seem to be a little, you can see with these patches here in the top right corner, it tends to be swayed towards the northeast side of everything. And then the last part of this is if we obstruct all of the possible spawn spots within this area using this circle, I click on this bed while standing right here. This will be our center because that's where everything is centered around. And then I go into survival and kill myself. You see, I spawn on this spot no matter what because everything else is obstructed and there's no other vertical space to go on. Interestingly, if I then obstruct this as well, we'll take some magma blocks, it will still go vertical with that spot. So all the way up there, if I go back into survival mode and kill myself, I spawn up at the top here. And lastly, if there are no available spawn spots, it will just default back to the original area, and I'll be in this lava immediately and just respawning indefinitely here. So that's about all I've been able to find with this little feature so far, although I'm sure that there's a lot of other opportunities that might be provided by it. So I just wanted to create a quick little documentation of it and see what people can create. Thanks for watching.